Hey, and welcome back to Reading Reddit. This story is from Am I the A-Hole, and it's about a dying woman having to fight for her last wishes to be honored. Would she be the a-hole if she told her grieving parents to back off? Timestamps for each section are in the description below. Let's get into the story. This story was posted by user Dying is Stressful, and the title is, Would I be the a-hole if I took over planning my funeral for my very religious parents? Hello all. If it isn't obvious already from the title, I am dying. I don't feel the details are super relevant to the issue at hand, but for those who are curious about my ultimate demise, I have cystic fibrosis, and after 2 rejected lung transplants, I've been told there isn't anything else they can do except keep me comfortable in my last few weeks. I've begun my preparations for my funeral and such, and while I was thinking it would be a breath of fresh air in this whirlwind of death, I could not have been more wrong. Now, on to the title. My parents are both strict Southern Baptists and want a very traditional funeral. This includes hymns to be sung during the memorial, a casket and graveside service, a viewing, countless prayers during the memorial, scripture to be read, etc. My issue with this is, well, everything. I am the complete opposite of my parents. Not religious, curse like a sailor, drink like the Irish, you name it. Everything they are wanting and attempting to plan is not me as a person. I've somehow made it to 25 and managed to meet the man of my dreams and marry him last year, and he's torn. He wants me to have it exactly as I want, but he doesn't want to have to deal with my parents after the fact while actually grieving. I have 2 siblings, one of which is a clone of my parents, and one that is a mixture of my parents and myself. I want my service to be full of laughter, funny stories and pictures, upbeat music, cats. My husband and I are avid cat lovers. I want confetti and stuff, but more importantly, I want to be cremated and put in a cat-shaped urn. I told my husband I wanted my ashes to be handed out like party favors, so my family and friends can take me with them because I love to travel. And he looked horrified. My parents are absolutely not on board and are essentially planning everything how they want. Attempting to take me shopping for a casket, flowers, picking out hymns and verses, the whole deal. I'm obviously not very pleased. So I guess my question would be, would I be the a-hole if I took control of my own funeral and wrote a will to be followed exactly how I want it? I understand my parents are grieving, and I've tried to compromise with a mixture of both my views and theirs, but they aren't having it. I never thought dying would be so stressful, and I just want to enjoy what time I have left without leaving a bomb of emotion and disappointment behind. Please, help. Well, this is kind of a tough one. On one hand, I've always been told that funerals are for the living, as a way of working through grief. However, I also believe that people should have their final wishes honored, especially when it comes to things like being buried versus being cremated. Not to mention the fact that her husband has a real possibility of being tormented by her parents for not letting them grieve how they want to, which will only cause more suffering for her grieving husband. What do you think? Leave a comment below about how you would handle this situation if you were OP. Do you think OP would be an a-hole if she told her parents to back off? Let's read a couple of the comments from the community to see how they labeled her. Not the a-hole. It's literally your funeral. You sound like an awesome person worth celebrating. This is controversial, but I'm going with no a-hole here. Your parents are burying their daughter. That is every parent's worst nightmare. For them, funerals are supposed to be solemn affairs, and ironically, they probably think that having the kind of party you want is disrespectful. From their perspective, you are denying them a funeral if you have a party instead. And as the adage goes, funerals are for the living. Your husband is not an a-hole, because he's right. Your parents will probably blame him. It's easier to blame him than their deceased daughter for letting this happen. It's hard to blame someone who wants to be able to grieve in peace. You are the least a-hole-ish person here, obviously. I'm sorry you're going through this, and I 100% understand why you would want your passing to be a celebration. You have a right to do this if you wish, it is your funeral, but I think there's room for compromise if you're willing. Make a list of non-negotiables for your funeral, and have your parents and husband make a wish list, but limit the amount of items they can have, that you can include or not. By the way, if you want to be cremated, that is your choice and no one else gets a say. Good luck. Can I suggest having a huge party while you're still here to enjoy it? Do all the fun stuff to celebrate your life while you're still here to witness it. Then your parents can do a small, boring, religious thing after you're gone, and you can be cremated and in a cat urn. If not, then plan your funeral to be everything you want. Your husband doesn't have to hang out with your parents if they can't be nice. There were a couple of edits to this post where the OP clarified that when she said to hand out her ashes like party favors, she really just meant that she wanted to send her closest family and friends home with a small vial of her ashes if they wanted it. She also went on to say that she understands that funerals are for the living, but they're also a way to remember people for who they were. She said she'd be willing to compromise, and there was an update to this post, so let's check it out. Hello everyone. First of all, thank you all for the kind words, support, and love that everyone has offered and given. These weeks have been the most difficult I have ever experienced, and it is with great sadness that I tell you all that my beautiful and cat-crazy wife has passed. I've had to cut this short due to character limits, sorry all, but she did leave you all with a note, Reddit. I've copied everything verbatim below. She truly loved everyone and was smiling so much after her first post. I'll take my leave here. Much love. Reddit, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Pretty crazy talking to a dead person, huh? It feels a bit strange to be writing this. If this feels a bit disconnected, I'm sorry. I have to take frequent breaks as I get tired pretty quickly now. My husband offered to write these words. Such a sweet ham, I know. Be nice to him, okay? But I wanted my last words to be written by me. Long story short, we talked to my parents. A lot of people asked why my husband wasn't planning the funeral and my parents were taking control. Honestly, my parents didn't take the news of my passing to come well, and I suppose their closure was to try and take control of what they could. I'm not angry at them for it, I understand. They had already pre-planned a large portion of the service, and to put it plain and simple, it was a pretty crappy hand that they were dealt. So we talked to them. I laid it all out for them, and somehow we reached a compromise. There were lots of tears, lots of hugs, and surprisingly, lots of laughs. They admitted that they had been losing their faith with everything that had happened, and that their way to attempt to find it again was to take control and guide me to the afterlife. Not my thing though, and I explained that I am not them, but their daughter who wanted to live her last weeks in peace, not in the turmoil they were putting me through. And while a lot of people stated that funerals are for the living, which is true, I firmly believe that a funeral is for the living to remember that person as who they were, not what anyone else wanted them to be. My parents seemed to understand when I told them that. They were not on board with the party favor aspect though, kind of a bummer. Pretty lucky to plan my own funeral, honestly. But now that it's all said and done, thank you guys. I was blown away by the responses. I was moved to tears, and I wish I had the chance to meet every single one of you. You all be good, okay? Take it one day at a time and just really enjoy yourself. You only get one life. Unless you're someone who survived death, and then you're really just a hero and probably a cat with a few lives to spare. I love you all. I'm resting easy now. This disease sucks, and I'm happy to be rid of it. And laugh and love and cry and be sad. Stuff happens. I've gotta go now. I'm gonna go snuggle with my husband and my cats. Keep it real, Reddit. I love you all. Well, there you have it. OP is resting peacefully, knowing that her husband and her parents can grieve properly, and she was able to leave this world being honored for who she was. This was probably the best outcome, all things considered. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the story in the comments below. Until next time. Hey y'all, in case you haven't noticed, I'm new here. Thank you for watching, and if you could hit that subscribe button and bell icon, I would really appreciate it. The link to the story is in the description. I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!